From floor plans to finishing touches, function to the feeling you get walking into a room. I'm Ashley Morgan, an interior designer with a love for beautiful living and a belief that great design should tell your story. I've spent over 20 years in the industry, and now I'm pulling back the curtain on interiors, sharing insight, inspiration, and the strategy behind well-designed spaces. Expect smart design talk, refined tips, and just the right mix of polish and personality. So pour something sweet and join me for a thoughtful conversation with a generous helping of charm and circumstance. Hi, everyone, and welcome back to Charm and Circumstance. I am Ashley Morgan, designer, studio owner, podcast host, and as of this very moment, very grateful. As we close out this year, I wanted to pause and take a moment to look back, not just at what we accomplished, but at what we learned, how we grew, and all the beautiful in-between moments that filled our projects, our process, and our lives this year. This episode is a love letter to the past 12 months because before we step into what's next, I want to give the last chapter its moment. So for starters, I had the most amazing project finish this past year. This was my largest project to date and probably the most just amazing clients I could ever ask for and that I could imagine ever having. It was really just like this dream come true project where I had great contractors to work with, and they gave me total design freedom, total creative freedom to design this space as I saw best. They completely trusted me, which was so amazing, and it always just makes a project that much more enjoyable, I think, for everyone. And I'm not totally questioning or scared of what they are going to think or how they're going to receive a specific design direction that I want to take the project. It was full of incorporating some existing pieces, existing art, and specific pieces that were very emotionally tied to their past, family heirlooms, components like that. And I love working with that kind of detail because I think, number one, it presents a challenge, and I really love challenges. I guess to a certain extent, and maybe when I'm in the moment, probably not so much, but I really do overall, big picture, I think enjoy those challenges just because it adds just so much more depth to the process and because the end result is so fulfilling when it all comes together. And so I got to close out this project, have it photographed, see the results, and it's just a dream, and I know that it will always hold a special place in my heart. I had several other projects that were very special and that I was thrilled with how they came out as well, and that are just amazing and exciting and more to come, hopefully. So that was definitely a huge win for 2025 and just really exciting project and process that was part of this past year. Another component of, or another piece of what I'm really grateful for from 2025 was, I think, there were plenty of moments that stretched me as a business owner, as a creative, as a leader. And these were across the board. These are from specifically as a business owner, dealing with decisions that had to be made, compromises to be made, pivots that had to be made that I never saw coming and were extremely scary and difficult in the moment, and yet turned out to be the greatest thing I could have ever asked for. And just a huge, I guess, a pivot that I would have never made on my own. And I think just really grateful that God knew that about me. And so he intervened. And sometimes that's what we need. And then there were, of course, just new relationships developed, new friendships, fellow designers that I grew closer to. And as you know, if you've listened to this podcast for any period of time, that is something that's so important to me, is the relationships within the industry, whether it's other designers, vendors, reps, photographers, just all of those new relationships that were developed were a total gift. This year brought some really beautiful growth. Not always comfortable, but always clarifying. And we took on more full service projects than ever before, grew our team, and refined our processes in ways that make everything feel smoother and more grounded. And I'm grateful for every client who trusted us, not just with their homes, but with their stories. Something else that was a really big win, or a really big piece of 2025, was starting this podcast. This is now episode 27, and next week, the final episode of the year, will be episode 28. So we started it in July of this past year. So I've done a full 6 months of episodes, one every week. And it has been, again, something that I didn't plan for. It really kind of happened due to, again, pivot circumstances that I didn't foresee and doors that just opened. And it was a great experiment and fun. And I love learning new things. So it was just a great experience, an opportunity for sure to learn lots of new things. And it opened the door for me to share my amazing friends and network with you, the listeners, who got to sit down with these talented friends who have accomplished so much. And there's plenty of other friends that I have that I would have loved to share on the podcast. But of course, we only have so many weeks and so many episodes. I'm just thrilled that I was able to share each of those friends with the audience here. And I was able to learn more about each of my friends as well. I tried to tailor specific topics and episodes to each one of them, like skill sets or categories that I knew were so fitting for each of them. But even with that, I think other things came out that I learned about each of them and got to appreciate more about each one of those people. And so for that, I'm really grateful. I'm always reminded that this work, whether it's design or podcasting or just creating, it's all rooted in connection. The homes that we design, they aren't just pretty pictures. They are where people raise families, heal, host, dream, and that connection is why I do what I do. And you, this audience, this little corner of the podcast world, you've shown up with encouragement, curiosity, and support in the most genuine ways. So some of my gratitude is, of course, for lessons learned. So these are the things that didn't go as planned, tough lessons, behind the scenes growth, we'll call it that. And I think I learned a lot. I learned something. I learned many things with each project because there are so details to every design project, every aspect of a project. And there's different players involved with each project, different contractors, different trades, different locations, all the things. And so I will continue to always learn new things on each project. I am so grateful, I will say, for that what I was talking about earlier, those relationships with fellow designers and the design network that we have here in Lexington that I've discussed on the podcast before. the Lexington Design Collective. And I'm grateful for those connections so that I have people that I can go to when when I'm facing new complications or logistical issues. So I have had projects in new locations that I've never worked in before this year. I've had, of course, timeline issues. That's always probably a thing and will be on every project. It just is. It's just part of this design world that we're in. So whether it's delays on components, construction, furniture being delivered, art, lighting being delivered, things being installed, lining up the trades appropriately, just each of those logistics, that always is an ordeal, let's say. But I think with each time dealing with that, I get better and better at it. Something else that was brand new this year was that I started teaching at the University of Kentucky's College of Design, my alma mater. And that was a very unexpected, again, but fantastic experience. To be back there, I mean, it was a totally new building, new experience, all the things from 20 or so years ago when I was back or when I was a student. It's just such a different program. Obviously, technology has changed tremendously in the last 20 years. And so the program looks very different from that vantage point. But to be around these students, these 21, 22-year-olds, generally speaking, was so much fun. And just to see and be surrounded by such like youthful energy where they're just starting out in their careers, and it's that excitement and anticipation. You know, it's so easy when you are in the middle of your career, you know, here, like in my mid 40s, and you start to get bogged down and a little more cynical, and reality is reality. And maybe you stop, you know, dreaming or seeing things through rose-colored glasses, which I'm not really the type to put on rose-colored glasses, to be clear. However, it was so fantastic to just be in the presence of these young designers and these people with their entire futures ahead of them, not knowing what their career paths are going to lead to and what's in store for them. And it really, I think, drew me back to being in that place myself, where you picture your future and your life a certain way, and you think, okay, this is the path I want to take. I'm making this decision for myself, and this is what my career is going to look like. This is what my family life is going to look like. This is what it's all going to look like. And of course, at this age now, knowing you can plan all you want, and that doesn't mean a thing, but, you know, good for you, and enjoy that planning. And of course, it's great to know what you want to do, what you are drawn to, what you're passionate about, what you're skilled at. But it's just fascinating because I think being around them, and they're in this planning mode of figuring out what they love most about design and what they want to do with their careers. It caused me to really look at my own career, the experiences I've had. I've been in many different sectors of this industry, and how all of that for so long I felt was so disjointed. And in that, like, nothing was cohesive. Nothing, it wasn't this clear path that led to this end result. And yet, that's exactly what it has done. I just wasn't able to see it in the moment, like walking along that path. And then here I was teaching this design professions class to these students getting ready to graduate from college about their design careers. And I was able to speak to commercial design and being a rep working for various manufacturers in the industry and calling on hundreds of design firms across a region of the United States for many, many years, and manufacturing processes, and then owning a business and opening a business and running a business, and P&Ls and balance sheets and EBITDA and like all of these things. Also, like coming from, I got an MBA and I always thought, what am I going to do with this? Like, I'm not using it at all. And then I opened my own business. And so obviously I get to use the business education that I obtained, but then I get to use it again as I teach these students who so many of them wanted to go into residential design, which is, I think, a little more rare when it comes to design students at that age. And many of them also wanted to eventually own their own businesses. And so I got to talk about that a lot. And so it was just this amazing fit, like a hand in a glove. And that was unexpected and just really cool. And so I am forever grateful for that experience and can't wait to do it again. So I think that also came with its challenges. There was a lot of learning. I'd never taught at the college level. I'd never taught like younger than that, to be honest. But of course, at the college level, like there's just all manner of ways to go about this. I have a child who is a freshman in college, and yet being around, I think, all of these students that are that age is a little bit intimidating too, because I know, I mean, I'm just totally from a different generation. And so I feel like mom going in, which is a little bizarre as well. It's just, again, these unique experiences that I got to take on this year, whether it is starting this podcast, teaching at the college level, and then, of course, just the continued growth, the continued evolution of my studio, of Ashley Morgan Interiors, the projects that we continue to take on, the doors that continue to open, the relationships that continue to develop, and then all that leads to. And it's just been this wild, wild ride. And I am forever grateful to each of you for listening, for encouraging me, for cheering me on. And don't ever think that goes unnoticed. It means the world to me. And I cannot wait for 2026 and what that holds. And who knows what that will hold, because Lord knows our planning only takes us so far. So I'm hoping there aren't maybe as many surprises as 2025, but you know what? I say that, and I would say that there were more good surprises in 2025 than bad. And even the, like, we'll say bad surprises led to great things. And so for that, I'm grateful. And so 2026 holds some new ideas that I cannot wait to share with you. And I'm going to do that actually in the next episode, episode 28, that will come out on New Year's Eve, actually. And so there are changes for the podcast itself. And then, of course, I've got other things planned for the studio for the following year and upcoming design projects and goals. And so that is just super exciting, and I really look forward to it. And I am pumped about this podcast for 2026 and the direction that we're going to take it. And so I'm just so grateful that you are here, that you're listening, and that you are going to join me on this journey as we go through 2026. And with that, again, I just want to say thank you. Thank you for your support, your encouragement, for being here. And I just want to encourage you to reflect back on 2025 and what that was for you. There's so much to be proud of, even when you're in the messy middle. And all of the new goals, new energy, fresh season for design, creativity, conversations to come, friendships that will grow. I can't wait, and can't wait to share all of that with you, and want to hear about your own reflections on your past year, and as we deal with planning for 2026 and this next episode that will drop on New Year's Eve. I want to hear about what your goals are for 2026. So until then, enjoy your own reflections. Be proud of yourself, give yourself grace, and look for those pivots that you had to take that were unexpected, or maybe the bad surprises, quote, bad surprises that came along in 2025. But really think about how that actually turned into a positive. What growth or opportunities came from that? And I know that you will come away with real gratitude. So with that, I will see you in the next episode, friends. Thanks for joining me on Charm and Circumstance. Be sure to subscribe, leave a review, and follow along on Instagram, because charm is personal and circumstance is what you make of it.